Hey, I'm Marina.
And I'm Emily.
And I've seen everything in the Sex and the City empire 10,000 times.
And I'm starting fresh.
So I'll be woman-splaining the show.
And I'm along for the ride.
But there's a twist. We are starting with And Just Like That and working our way back to the beginning.
So in other words, we're watching it backwards and in high heels.
This is City and the Sex.
I don't want to know that person. Whatever character just made a noise, I don't want to know them.
I was going for Kermit and then it came out Yoda.
It's like Yoda, but his voice is breaking because he's prepubescent.
What I just did was a teen Yoda losing his virginity.
Okay.
Clap. Clap. I need to hear the claps.
Don't clap. Tori, don't put a clap in there, I swear to God.
You put that clap in there, I swear to God. Mommy and Daddy are fighting. Well, welcome to our podcast. We're talking about Sex and the City, Season 6, Episode 19, An American Girl in Paris, Part 1.
Part 1.
This is the famed 2-part finale of this saga. Emily, what was your one word?
My one word is hyphenated. Why are French people like that?
Thank you. Thank you. I had a moment where I watched these episodes with my boyfriend. Again, he's in the room, not watching.
Of course.
And I literally turned to him and I was like, why is everybody in France such a cunt?
Oh, it's kind of crazy.
And then we like commiserated on the fact that like they are just so like the level of mean to Carrie. Like, at one point I was like, you know what? She actually is trying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Emily in Paris just showing up being like, I don't speak French and you have to accept me. I'm an American. Mm-hmm. She's trying. And these people are so mean.
Drop kicking her, punching her in the face left and right. It's crazy.
Well, my one word is on a similar vein, and it's merci beaucoup.
Okay. Merci
beaucoup.
With an audible P.
With an audible P.
Aspirated P.
Because as I said, she's trying.
Yeah.
I recently watched Michael Bay's The Rock.
Good.
And I knew it was going to be my new religion, and it is my new religion.
Excellent.
And I'll just quote the movie, and I'll say, losers try, winners go home and fuck the prom queen. That's what I'll have to say about that. I have been saying that on a cycle. Every hour on the hour.
But like organically, it just happens to come up.
Yeah. And if you want to join the religion, you can. Just pay a fee to me directly in my Venmo, Marina-Tabarzo, and I'll see you. I'll see you at the gathering.
The spiritual trilogy in my head that exists is The Rock, Face Off, and Con Air. They are not the same characters, same cinematic universe, but for some reason in my brain, I'm like, that's a trilogy.
They're related.
Yeah.
That's like,
it's an anthology
I don't know.
series.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the future of like John McCain one instead of Obama.
It's McCain's America.
It's John McCain's America.
It's Con Air.
Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Yeah.
The line from Con Air that we like to repeat is where he calls his wife my hummingbird because he's doing such an insane voice and accent. He just goes, my hummingbird. And like my boyfriend and I will say that back and forth to each other, but it just gets more and more deteriorated the more we say it. So it's just mama.
Mine from Face Off is I could eat a peach for hours. That's the one I say all the time. I could eat a peach for hours. Okay. Somehow you took this sexual flirting and made it immediately unsexy.
Even Yoda was like, I'm out.
Even Yoda was like,
yeah.
Wow, we're getting funky up in here.
Look, we have so much to get through that this is just like Everyone buckle up.
Shall we get into it?
I guess so. Here we go.
I guess so. This is season 6, episode 19, An American Girl in Paris, part 1. And we start with Carrie at home packing. And we start with a voiceover. Some outfits wait a lifetime to be taken somewhere special. The same can be true of people. Woof.
Honestly, great line to start with. I mean, this is just peak moi 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 Carrie Bradshaw. Like,
Carrie Bradshaw.
What do you say? It was also so funny, again, with the Carrie, like, what would you do instead of having a kid? I don't know, travel.
Yeah. It's like some people wait a lifetime to be taken somewhere special. It's like, you know, there are many episodes that talk about her credit card debt and her shoes. So we don't have to go into that rant today. But it's like, you just max out the credit card and go to Paris. What are you waiting for?
Right. What's going on?
Whatever. Petrovsky's left a voicemail. He says, of course, stop packing. There's clothes here in Paris. See you tomorrow. I guess every girl's dream.
Yeah, she's like charmed by this.
Yeah. Miranda leaves a voicemail and she's like, I'm not going to beg you not to go. Trust me. But I have a dinner reservation set for us at 6 since you're leaving at 9. And then she's like, great, you've made us senior citizens. And then she ends with, I will say, a banger line, which is, merci, please don't go.
Very good.
Merci, boo, please don't go.
Yeah, I mean, merci. It's very funny.
What a downgrade to go from her saying merci, boo, don't go, to Abu Dhabi do.
Oh,
can we just like
no.
sleep in that for a minute?
Why did you do this?
Can we just stew in that for a minute? Like, the best you could come up with was Abu Dhabi do, a veiled Flintstone reference.
Oh my God, why did you? All right, well, I'm going to be distracted for the next scene because I'm going to be thinking about that again. Also, can I just say, I miss voicemails. This is so fun. There's something so nostalgic and fun about watching her just like listen to the voicemail while doing other things. I miss this. I miss the pretext. I'm just listening to someone's voice tell me a thing, you know?
And then, of course, we get a voicemail from Mr. Big.
Here he comes.
Play fire.
Can I just say something first? You told me, I think, in the last episode, or maybe it was the one before, that like originally the plan was that Carrie was not going to end up with anybody.
Long story short, like the original creator. So there's an original creator, Darren Star, who creates the show with Candace Bushnell, who is the real life Carrie Bradshaw. And they, Michael Patrick King, I think, is there, but doesn't become like the leader until season 3. Like, and Darren Star leaves, and Candace kind of fades out of the view. And Darren Star basically was like, I would have never ended the show with Carrie getting together with Big. And Candace also agreed. They both were like, she should be the single girl. I see. Michael Patrick King recorded many endings. Like, I think he recorded a version where Carrie's alone. He recorded a version that we know with Big, several other versions. And he and the writers landed on this version.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to review that because, I mean, we'll get into it, but like, boy, you can tell. You can sort of tell that like there are other ideas that were not Big related. You know what I mean? He does feel very like, what if we stick him in here?
Yeah, I'll say my first time watching the show, I remember watching season 6 and being like, Big is barely here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's barely here. I don't understand how we built up to him, you know, whisking her off her feet, as we'll see.
Yeah.
And it was like kind of jarring for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
In this rewatch with you, because he is our father, our Lord, our Savior, it felt a bit more intentional. But I think only because you and I like exaggerated his presence.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We've given him a life of his own.
Really think about it. In this season, Carrie goes through 2 boyfriends that are completely different.
Yeah.
And Big is really only represented in voicemails. He gets his one big episode that, you know, which is the heart surgery, where Carrie very much says goodbye to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels very much like a return of an old character who gets their send off in the last season.
Right. And and it feels very healing in a way for her that will become more clear to you later that she's finally kind of cutting this presence out of her life. And we start, we're going to get into it, but we start this episode kind of reiterating that in a big fight that they have on the street. Only for it to be reversed last second, happy endings. Cool, if I just breathe. No. It's a little jarring is the word I would use.
Absolutely. My biggest surprise was how little he was involved in season 6, because I knew that this was supposed to be Endgame, and the entire season I'm kind of twiddling my thumbs waiting for him, and then suddenly we're here at the finale and I'm like, what happened? He never came back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I'm one of those people that's like, Carrie should be with Big. I'm not here to argue for the other boyfriends, and you and I will debate that in great detail, full episode later on in life. But for today, I'm really not against Carrie and Big ending up together, but I am against the fact that it feels rushed.
Yeah.
But anyway, Big leaves a voicemail. He says, "It's me. I'm in town." But she deletes the phone, throws her shoes in the closet. I mean, she is DONE done with this man.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. She heads off to her last supper, but Mr. Big shows up.
There's the real John Cena.
Jump scare. It's so funny. He's just outside in a car. It's like just lurking.
He shows up with this banger line. Well, if Mohammed won't come to the mountain, he says, can I talk to you? Carrie's like, I'm late for a dinner with the girls. He's like, it's 5:45. Get in the car. She gets in the car.
So then why, if it's so crazy early and he's like, why are you leaving for dinner? Why is he lurking outside her house at 5:45 p.m.?
Well, he's hoping that
he's just like going to wait there indefinitely for her to leave for dinner.
I think here's the game plan for him. He's going to roll up to her apartment, wait for her to come outside. Hopefully she doesn't have plans. But if she does have plans, they're going to be at like 8 because that's like a fashionable time. Mm-hmm. I'm spitting all this out of my ass, okay?
Yeah, go for it.
She's going to come out. He's going to confess that he loves her. And she's going to be like, yes, yes, yes. And then either cancel all her plans or she didn't have plans in the first place. And then they're going to go to some hotel and fuck. That's, I think, what his end game is here.
Got it. Okay. All right. Makes sense. I'll buy that.
So when he's like, you're going to dinner at 5:45, he's kind of like, I think for him, he's like, is she lying to me?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, no one eats dinner at 5:45.
Yeah, I see. So you're trying to avoid me. Yeah.
She gets in the car. He like kicks his driver out.
So, yeah. It's not like a big deal, but for some reason this was a big deal to me. Was that in order to have this conversation, he's like, go stand in the cold. And he makes the poor driver wait.
And then he's like, I'm going to tip him like a Rockefeller. And we're all kind of like, what?
Why
is this a part of it?
Brother,
I beg Michael Patrick King why he couldn't just be in a car that has one of those slide up windows.
There you go.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, he's wealthy enough, clearly.
The partition,
please. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
So he's like, she apologizes for not returning his calls, and he is like, you are making me feel like a needy chick. Crimes. And he's like, did I piss you off? And he like apologizes for freaking out about the heart thing. And you can tell he's clearly trying to say like, I've been thinking about us and I want us to be together. And Carrie just keeps cutting him off at the pass. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, you don't need to do this. It's fine. We're all fine. And then he's like, okay, well, how about dinner tomorrow?
Oh my God.
And she's like, I'm leaving for Paris. Vengeance. She's in full vengeance mode. She should be.
It's so sad. We're going to talk about this when we get to the actual finale, because I have so many questions for you about how people felt about this finale, how people felt about Carrie in these moments. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about it all, don't you worry, in the next episode, because there are so many moments like this where I feel my soul getting split in two, because half of me wants to cheer and clap and like cry and be like, thank you, Carrie. And then half of me, it wants to shrivel up in a ball, because I know that she's going to undo this at the end, and he is gonna win in the end, and I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Why does feminism have to be so hard sometimes?
Exactly.
So then she's like, I'm leaving for Paris. Goodbye. And gets out of the car. And he's like, what do you mean by goodbye? And she's like, I have to go. And he's like, when were you going to tell me that you were going to Paris? Remember, I'm going to pin this as an "Oh, Emily." This will become poignant later on. But this is a heavy-weighted moment here where he's like, when were you going to tell me? And you can kind of see Carrie roll her eyes.
Okay.
I can't wait for you to understand the full infinity circle that is Paris in the show.
So I know something is looming in the darkness because astute fans of And Just Like That will remember that the first season ends with her dumping his ashes out of a purse in the shape of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
into the Seine.
We'll get to it in the finale, but I hope you recognize the background in the finale.
Mm-hmm.
Emily is broken. You can't see her face, but she is motionless as she's going, because this finale breaks people, okay? We can all agree on that. But he's like, when were you you're going to Paris with a Ruski?
Oh,
Love
Jesus
this man.
Christ.
Love everything about him. And she's like, you do that. And then Carrie launches into her big, powerful monologue where she's like, you do this to me every time. Like, what is your radar that you have that says Carrie might be happy? Let me sweep in and shit all over it. And he's like, you and I, he's trying to say like, it's going to be different. And she's like, you and I, nothing. It's 6 years of always being different, but it's not. Forget you ever met me. Forget you know my name. Shakespearean, okay? Hi, Shakespeare.
It's so good and so sad.
And then she goes, you can drive down the street all you want because I don't
live here anymore. God. The psychic damage. It's
inflict it like a fucking Pokemon. I'm like, yes, go. Throw it.
Flamethrower.
LeBron James. Like, I'm just like, get him.
There's an alternate universe, and we're going to talk about the alternate universe in regards to Smith Jared in a second. But in that alternate universe, I'm also deciding that this is the last time she ever sees Big.
Yes. God, that's Gloria Steinem is standing up and clapping.
Yeah.
That's how they didn't show Gloria the finale to get her to do that And Just Like That cameo. Because I've never forgotten that she did an And Just Like That cameo. I'm going to hold on to that forever.
Yeah. It's such a good speech. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I had the same thought where I was like, I wish it ended here because this would be pretty powerful, but also kind of weird that it's part 1 of 2.
Yeah.
But she storms off. She meets with the 4 girls and she's like ranting and raving about Mr. Big. And she's like, now that I'm leaving, of course, things are different. And then she's like, he's the boy who cried love. And nobody seems to get that analogy, even though it's like perfectly clear to me.
Yeah, it's really not that complicated. But everyone, these are not like, they don't read. I don't know. They look very confused.
Carrie's leaving, like the sun is leaving orbit, so now they all don't know how to function. That's like what has happened. They're just like breaking down.
They're all just falling apart. It was like 2 brunches ago, you guys were so witty and cracking all these references, and they're like, boy who cried, huh?
Yeah. Stupid.
This is also another instance of the Oh Emily discussion we had where I once asked, like, how did the friends feel about Big? Because when we were watching the first movie and they went from watching him destroy her and leave her at the altar and screaming at him in the street to hasn't it been a long time, Carrie? I really think you should give him a call. And it was like, how do they feel about him? What's going on? This was another instance of that where like everyone's reactions to her ranting about him kind of confused me. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, you asked me that question and I literally went error 404 because I was like, I have no idea how to explain how they feel about him because it changes so violently. I also kept like watching this finale in the back of my head, just kept thinking about like just how stupid it is that he leaves her at the altar.
Yeah.
Like after going through all of these hoops to get her back.
Yep. Yes.
To then leave her on the altar in like the dumbest way, which like we really broke down. Listen to our episode, subscribe 5-star. Like, you know what I mean? Like after especially like really going through that beat by beat, it's like just the whole episode. I just kept being like, and you're going to leave her in the altar 6 months later. Why? So Carrie says, fuck him. And I never say that, which is a reference to the fact that basically I think Sarah Jessica doesn't like to curse. So Carrie doesn't curse. And then, of course, Charlotte's like already emotional, being like, don't make me cry. You're going to make me cry. And then the tender music starts.
Oh boy, here we go.
There's a couple times in this episode where you can just hear somebody on a CD player just play. And then this like, woo, 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 tender music comes on. And it's like, you can't make me feel.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like when it's so obvious that it's time to cry, sometimes I get so annoyed that I circle back around to not feeling any emotion at all.
Yeah, exactly. So the tender music starts and Carrie's like, thank you all. You've been so incredible to me and like supporting me, even though, you know, you have different opinions. And I like Miranda's line here where she's like, me, I've never had an opinion a day in my life. That's the only good part of this scene. That's a good line.
Also, I'm going to be fair. I know I'll be nice here. I also, to be clear, think the scene would have hit very differently if I was watching this live and it was the end of the scene. You know what I mean? And like, or if I had watched the full series and got to this scene. I just want to clarify the reason this is not moving the needle at all for me is because I'm coming from like and just like that in the movies.
Sure.
So
yes. Of course.
The tearful goodbye is not hitting me, I think, in the way it may have for someone who like actually thought the show was ending after 7 seasons or 6 seasons.
I agree, but I do think it's a little heavy-handed. That's all I'm saying. They have to have a scene where she says goodbye to them.
Yeah.
So, like, duh.
Yeah.
But it feels a little heavy-handed. And then everybody's like hugging it out. And then she goes, you know, I had a thought the other day. What if I never met you? And then it just hangs in the air.
They don't say anything.
Nobody says anything. And then Samantha's like, oh, okay, well, I can't cry here anymore. Like, I need to come back. And it's like, whoa.
So funny.
So dark.
It's so... Why? There was a really good joke somewhere. I'm sure it's like a Tumblr post that got screenshotted on Instagram and then shared on Twitter or whatever. You know, one of those things. But it was like, hanging out with girls is talking about like mundane stuff, whatever. You're talking about boys, you're talking about your job, you're talking about this. And then all of a sudden someone's like, what if we died tomorrow?
Yeah.
And that's what this made me think of. I was like, yeah, just... What if we never met and our entire lives were irreparably changed?
And then just like empty silence. So, of course, Samantha's like, well, let's change the conversation. Chemo might have kicked me into early menopause. Ha 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 ha. Menopause.
They love that on the show.
And then we end in probably the most Carrie way possible here, which is that Samantha says, you know, the hot flashes are so bad, I can barely keep my clothes on. And Carrie says, what was the excuse before the chemo? Which is like back to bullying a woman with cancer. Great. And then Samantha goes, I'm going to miss you, you cunt. Which I think is the only use of cunt in this show.
Really?
I think
I'm
so.
going to be paying attention to the swearing so much now.
Now
this is all I'm going to be thinking about.
I think it's the only time because I was really hit by it. I was like, whoa, they said cunt. Me who uses it like every other sentence. Yeah, I was like, whoa.
It's the finale. They're going all out.
And that's the last note of the 4 girls together.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
That's what I'm going to say to you every time I hang up the phone. I'm going to go, oh, I'm going to miss you, you cunt.
No, that's us going out to dinner and I say, I'm going to use the bathroom 1 second. And you go, I'm going to miss you, you cunt.
Miss you, cunt. Great new closing line.
Yeah. I can eat peaches for hours.
So Carrie's at home getting ready to leave and she finds her iconic Carrie necklace, which is like a necklace that she's worn like throughout the show. That's what you need to know for that so far. And she gets a phone call. She doesn't answer. It goes to voicemail of this woman basically being like, your car is going to be downstairs in 2 minutes. Tell me why it sounds like you doing the pizza ad.
That's right, it's pizza.
Really?
Yeah.
I forgot the accent that they use.
It has the same filter, and it's this woman being like, hey, yo, your car's going to be downstairs. And I was listening to it, and I'm like, Emily?
A little pepperoni.
It's me doing my Harley Quinn bit
Yeah.
accent.
Yeah. I was like,
Miss
oh,
Bradshaw.
so she's Miss Bradshaw.
Car's downstairs. I'm from Boston now.
Yeah. Hey, park the car.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's so funny.
And just like that, she's gone. Ooh. Ooh. Then we see Samantha with a group of women, and another line I'm just going to start saying, which is to wrap up this like meeting or whatever. This woman's like, well, we all need to get up for our Pilates tomorrow morning. So like, let's wrap up all our notes on this breast cancer benefit. Like, oh God.
Women.
And I love that the waiter comes by and they're like, do you want more decaf? To Samantha, who's like clearly sweating from the hot flash. And she's like, are you insane? Like,
Are you trying to kill me?
So good. But of course we're learning that she's planning a breast cancer benefit. They start talking about the goodie bag, and one of the women's is like, well, we have the pink ribbon for breast cancer cookie that we're going to put in the bag. And Samantha's like, fuck the cookie. Nobody likes the fucking cookie. We should give these women something inspirational, something outrageous. They're battling cancer. Mm-hmm. And the women like take the insult to the cookie very personally. And then they're like, well, the cookies are donated. But what we want actually is you. You should give a speech that's inspirational and outrageous. Carrie arrives in Paris with her Louis Vuitton suitcases. After wearing presumably 4-inch heels on a flight.
And the craziest hat you've ever seen.
And the craziest, dumbest little beret hat you've ever seen. We're going to get into how awkward she is in the scene coming up with Petrovsky and his daughter. But I actually think Sarah Jessica is operating on a level of genius in the way that she keeps like pushing the hat down.
Okay.
To like emphasize
Hat
the
acting.
hat and like how nerd yeah. Hacting, if you will. She really turns the key up on the hacting here. And I appreciate it. Because at least if you're going to wear an ugly hat, at least use it as a part of the scene.
Yeah, do something with it. All right. I like that. Yeah.
I
was also just interested in her outfit for this one. I'd like, because she's doing like one of those, it's like two opposite stripes, but I thought it worked really nicely. I was like, I totally would have worn something like this. I love stripes. I would absolutely wear this, and the big goofy flower or whatever. And then there's the funny little hat.
The funny little hat
that's
with the little string of pearls.
That little SJP touch.
Yeah, it's just, again, we decry a lot of dumb hats on this show, but this one's working. Mm-hmm. It's working on an emotional level. Mm-hmm. It's working on a fashion level. Get me one of those. Honestly, we should be wearing those right now. Is that going to be my gift to you for 2025?
Is to wear a flannel hat? Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Which she says to the bellhop people. Carrie, of course, is like struggling to speak French. She like goes to the desk to like ask for her room, and the guy's like, "Oh, an American," which begins the onslaught.
Yeah, the abuse starts.
The abuse and terror that begins. I also like how she's like, "Yeah, a New Yorker," and he goes, "Oh," which is also very true. Yeah. Can I say
very true.
Only acceptable place that Europeans will accept?
I never say I'm from the U.S. I always say I'm from New York.
And that's what this episode is about. Nationalism for New York only, and not for the French.
Yeah, not for the French.
Fuck the French.
Fuck the French.
They are the villains of this show.
Yeah,
if we've learned anything, it's that they ruin relationships, they ruin friendships,
they make
ruin
Enid
fashion.
look soft and cuddly.
That they do. That they do. And you know what? The berets, it's dumb. Hate to say it.
Get 'em.
But you look dumb.
Wow. Dragged to filth.
And baguettes, they're honestly, I'm gonna go on my rant.
Okay, go for it.
Baguettes, very uncomfortable bread to eat.
Yeah, what do you
can't
eat
eat
them
it with your mouth.
When are you enjoying that?
No, you have to rip it in the street and then chomp on it like a fucking shark.
A baguette is a perfect piece of bread to use as a theater prop and nothing else.
And nothing else.
When you're saying, I'm back from the store, and you have the baguette sticking out of the shop, the bag, that's what it's for.
Useless. It goes bad so fast. Mm-hmm. It's always gummy.
Yeah. No.
And stripes look good on maybe 2 people.
Okay, I wear a lot of stripes.
Well, you're one of the 2 I was thinking of.
Oh my God,
okay?
thank you.
You're welcome. I think you look great.
That's so sweet. Oh my God, thanks, girl.
But Carrie is so awkward here. It's so clear. She's so excited to be in Paris, and everybody else in Paris hates being there.
Yeah,
because, again,
everyone is so unhappy to be there.
Everybody fucking hates their own city.
Paris.
God. So she goes and sees that Petrovsky's really cuddled up to this woman, which I'll say, I think it's a little inappropriately close.
Yeah, I get that they're setting it up for the misunderstanding to happen, but I don't know. The director, I have some notes. Honestly, if it was like they were sitting across from each other and like laughing and giggling and Carrie just immediately gets jealous, like I wouldn't have thought that much of it. But they really made them like snuggling.
Too close.
It's weird. I don't like it.
Too close. But she gets there and meets the daughter, who has got to be like the cuntiest daughter in television.
She's got 2 lines and sucks both times.
And boy, is she just nasty.
And it's so funny because like we heard about the daughter in such a sweet, heartwarming way with her dad like, look at this is her walking for the first time, and he's this twinkle in her eye, he's got all these pictures in his wallet, and then we meet her and it's like, you are the worst person that's ever existed.
And she has such a delicate name, like Chloe is like such a delicate name. And then she's just like with the deep eyeliner and the cigarette. And you're like, already this is off to a bad start. Carrie's like, again, trying here. Okay. Says like, hi, how are you? In French or something like that. And this girl responds in like full fast French, being like, blah, 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 blah. And Carrie's obviously like, I don't get that. And then Petrovsky explains like, oh, she's having, boyfriend troubles and she's having a bad day. And she said that she wanted to kill herself. Teens, what are you going to do?
It's funny that this is exactly what's going to be happening with Brady and it just like that. It's like this is the only plot. Like MPK doesn't really know what teens do. So he just has them like be rude to their parents, date, and then want to kill themselves. Which like,
want to kill themselves.
I guess is like a funny caricature, but it is like, maybe read something that's not just Romeo and Juliet. You know what I mean? There are other experiences to be had.
It is tough when that's your only teen archetype that you lean to. It's like there are many other types of teens. There are like reclusive teens who don't want to talk to anybody and like feel awkward. You know what I mean? Like,
I just want one kid on this show who is just like a dork and really into something, and it's like, or like Brady should have been like really into like, I don't know, Warhammer figurines, and Miranda's like, I have no interest in my son's interest, I don't know what to do with him, guys, what do I do? My son's a dork. And then there's a whole plot about like, what do you do if your son is a nerd? And you're you know what I mean? It's like, my sister and I have a run-on joke where we're like, what are we gonna do when our kids are cooler than us?
Yeah.
We're like, what are we going to do when our kids are like a cool jock that like runs the school, and we're going to be like, do you want to play video games? You know what I mean? It's like, how are we going to parent this child? I want plots like that as a goofy time, but everyone, Lily, this bitch, Brady,
Brady.
Every child is just nasty and having sex.
Like a little punk.
It's a
you know
little
what I mean?
punk.
A little punk. And it's just like so heartbreaking. The way that Carrie's like, boyfriend troubles, that's my department. Tell me about the bum. Again, squishing on her hat in like an amazing piece of acting. And then again, just the silence.
Oh God. And like Petrovsky, so aren't you embarrassed? Like, where is your sense that he just has no, people will be rude to Carrie and he like is like, anyway, haha. Aren't they so silly? You know what I mean? He like doesn't pick up on this.
Well, here's where we enter what I like to call new Petrovsky who dis.
Okay, thank you. We were going to have this discussion. I was going to bring this up. Dr. Robert Leeds' treatment happens a little bit.
Yeah, because especially that we've watched the episodes now with attention and detail, you know, yes, it is clear from the beginning that he like cares about his art, and his art is a very lonely venture. You know, he doesn't want Carrie around while he's working on his art, etc. So that's like believable. But he's like so, you know, caring and wanting to sit around and like bringing Carrie to all these different things and around the world, et cetera, et cetera. And then the second they get to France, he's like, oh, you know, I'm busy. I can't really hang out. He lets people just walk all over her. It is a little bit of a whiplash of new Petrovsky who dis.
Yeah. And I go back and forth a little bit where like, I don't think the 180 is as extreme as Robert Leeds, but it is a sort of like, to an extent, some of the seeds have been planted. You know, we have had scenes where like his friends, quote unquote, come and are rude to her, but then he's also a little aware of it. You know what I mean? Like there were sort of seeds getting planted of what we see, and then this just like turns up everything to 11. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it does feel. I go back and forth, I think, and I'm sure I'm going to change my mind over the course of us recording, where I was like, is this earned? Is it not? Are we Robert Leedsing? Are we not? I don't know. But it's kind of extreme. He's very suddenly not tuned into her at all.
It's sort of a mixture, and we'll get into it because at one point he does sort of apologize, but the daughter turns to Carrie and is like, Papa tells me this is your first visit to Paris. And Carrie's like, well, yes, like I'm so excited. You know, I almost screamed at the Eiffel Tower. And of course the daughter's like, terrible. And now that they have that light show, it's just horrible, horrible. Great. Cool. And then Petrovsky explains like this is the only day he can have with his daughter. And so Carrie's like, why don't you two hang out and I'll settle in. And just the big slap in the face of Carrie being like, enchanté, you know, and her being like, it was nice to meet you. Just
so hostile.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I also think it's hostile the way that Carrie and Petrovsky make out and she just maintains full open eye contact with the daughter while it's happening.
There's a lot of directing questions.
Yeah.
Like this.
That's one of those things where I'm looking at Michael Patrick King being like, did we really have to add that in? I don't know. Especially because we never see the daughter again.
Yeah, that's the last of it.
So it's a lot to unload on me in one scene for a character I'm never going to see again or hear about or care about ever again. And now we get to indulge in the meme scene around the world, which is Carrie enjoying the room with the magic wind chimes, opening the balcony door, going out, screaming at the Eiffel Tower like it's her old bestie she hasn't seen in months, and then clapping for it. We've all seen the meme. We all know it well. It's good every time.
It's just it's so funny and so like, it's just so silly, but in a good way. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, this is so much of Carrie's personality. It's just sort of like, the whole world has been designed for me. And so I get to enjoy the show that it is putting on for me.
And honestly, we should clap more for famous buildings. I'm going to put my pro Carrie hat on for a minute and say, you know what? They deserve a good round of applause, okay?
Yeah.
They've been here longer than us. We should respect our elders.
Yeah.
Fucking throw them a clap every now and then.
It's going to be like you and me, like, passing, like, the Flatiron building. We're going to be like, it's so flat. Yeah, clapping.
Catch me looking at the Statue of Liberty and clapping. Jealous? Okay. But then we see Carrie at home sitting in the very famous Versace ball gown that you may remember.
I do.
From that episode of And Just Like That.
I do. Where she was eating the popcorn. And they were very sort of like, this is a famous dress. This is a very memorable dress, whatever. And it is a very memorable dress. And I think it's sad that the scene it's used in is her alone in the hotel room waiting for Petrovsky that never shows up.
Yeah, the question I ask myself every time I see this scene is, where are they going? Because
The opera, you know.
his schedule is that he was like going to go to that dinner for the museum and then get out early. I'm going to assume that a Parisian early is 9 p.m. Okay. That's like me, and maybe I'm wrong, and fucking fact check me, but that's what I'm going to assume is a Parisian early is like 9. Okay. So are they going to dinner in a ball gown? Where are they going? I understand the visual that they wanted, which is like her alone, very tragic.
Yeah, but like, where are the what was the event? Because they're not just going around the corner to like a Wagamama, you know?
No way. Or maybe.
I mean, she
that's
did
their
go to
thing now.
She went to McDonald's and the Oscar de la Renta.
So maybe that's just their thing.
Yeah.
That's a kink I'd like to infuse in my relationship moving forward.
Yeah, actually, me too. That's great. Because I always complain that we don't have enough excuses to dress up anymore. And my toxic trait is like, if I have to try on a dress and getting something for like a wedding or something and the other one looks cute too, I will keep it, quote unquote, just in case.
We all do it.
You know? So we need more excuses to wear these things. And yet also I don't like going to fuddy-duddy places and I love a good McDonald's. So like, I think you and I need to start this new trend, fetish. What are we going to call this?
Yeah. This is what you and I are going to do. We are going to start going once a month to a fast food chain in ball gowns.
I love this plan.
And we're going to make it into a whole brand and get paid millions of dollars.
Oh my God, I love this plan even more.
Cha-ching. And if somebody fucking takes that from us right now, I swear to God, I know all 5 listeners listening to this podcast, I will come after you. Okay? I know it's not good business for me to threaten the 2 people who listen to this podcast, but I fucking will. Okay?
Darren is shaking right now.
Darren, Nicole, Rachel, Lauren, Chris, I fucking see every last one of you. And if one of you take this idea, I swear to Christ's name, in his charity and in his vein, I will come for you.
We will dox you on this pod.
We will dox you on this pod. All your phone numbers.
Only information we have.
I know how to go viral, okay? And it's outing the 3 people who support me.
It's just sharing your phone numbers with the other 3 people.
Yeah. In a vicious cycle.
In a vicious cycle of hate. Let us have this.
I actually think this is a good idea. We should do it.
We should do this.
And the 5 people who I just insulted and screamed at, you're welcome to come.
Yeah. Wear your best.
Wear your best.
Meet us at the Five Guys.
Gowns only. I'll see you there. But she gives us the line, all dressed up, no Petrovsky to go. Aw. Sad. Then we cut to Charlotte and Harry at home with their 4 puppies, and they're talking about adoption. Charlotte just kind of ends on the note of like, you know, we need to be as aggressive as we can be up to the point of obnoxious. And Harry says, amen.
Hilarious.
And that's just to set up that they're adopting a child.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to Carrie asleep in bed in the dress with her shoes on. Insane. Petrovsky walks in and he is like, sorry, you know, the dinner turned into this whole thing where I had to entertain like the donors and the investors and the what the fuck ever. And she's like, oh, well, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, well, your phone was on Do Not Disturb. And she's like, oh, and then he jokes, you look like dessert. And then he puts his head under her dress, which hot.
We love.
And then one thing I want to point out here is I was watching this with my boyfriend and he turned to me and he said, I believe that they are excited to be with each other, but I don't believe in their actual chemistry. And I really meditated on this for a minute because I was like, I think that's kind of true. Like, you know, we have oft joked that Petrovsky this whole season has been looking at Carrie as an alien observing the modern woman. Mm-hmm. And he is like delighted by her. Yeah. And Carrie is obviously delighted by his wealth. And I feel like the scene kind of encapsulates that of like, you know, like they are so entranced by each other and excited about each other. But the show is trying to pull me away from really believing them as a couple anymore. Like, I feel like their coupleness really fades in these last 2 episodes very hard.
I might even say go one step stronger than that and be like, their coupliness never really felt that coupley.
Get him! Get him! Slap me! Slap me in my side. Exactly. But I was trying to be diplomatic about it, but that's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. I see. This is what we call like a primary assist. Is when I come in and I say the rude thing, which gets you to sink the goal.
Yeah,
there.
we just did a shake and bake.
We did a shake and bake.
What happened? Okay,
toss that salad, if you will. So, it's tough because it's like I don't necessarily dislike Petrovsky that much. Obviously, in these 2 episodes, I'm very unhappy with him. But it's like I've enjoyed watching him on screen, right? I've enjoyed him being around, but him as a couple, I'm like, yeah, this does have an expiration date. You are enjoying each other's company, but you're not a couple. Like, that is the energy that they just have every time they're in a scene together.
So that's the end of that scene. We cut to Samantha preparing her cancer speech with Smith, of course, like fully in her underwear, which love. And she has this speech that's like, the face of breast cancer is like the cashier at the grocery store. You know, this very like lofty speech. And Smith's kind of like, you know, the speech is kind of stiff. Like I was kind of expecting more Samantha to this speech, like being real. Samantha gives one last problematic ding for the end of the season, which is, you know, I'm speaking at a black tie benefit, not chilling at P. Diddy's crib. In the arms of the angel. In the arms of an angel. Fly away.
Yeah, and that's a specific, after she says in disgust, keeping it real.
God. Except you know that she was at one of those all-white parties in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
No. Like, that's an episode of And Just Like That.
That's actually like, really funny.
No.
Yeah.
Samantha, you're in the photos.
No, yeah.
These parties. Samantha, you took your shirt off with an underage woman? Like, that is an actual great storyline to And Just Like That will never happen.
No, that's unfortunately that is actually a Seinfeld plot that would go one step further, where it's like he is in the background of a photo with like Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell?
Yeah.
And Kramer. Yeah. For sure. Oh, that would be such a good reunion episode. Is like Kramer's problem is that he's in the P. Diddy pictures. And then he like tries to like break into P. Diddy's house to like get the pictures or something. God, excellent.
Write that down.
I write it down.
Darren, stop writing that down.
Don't
Darren,
throw it in the trash.
Darren.
I just love the idea of some people listening to this having no idea who Darren is. They're like, is he a real guy? And you know what? We're never going to answer that.
Nope.
We're never going to answer that. But Smith says, you know, the best speeches at AA are the ones that come from the heart. And Samantha's like, you may know AA, but I know PR. Okay. Carrie's walking around Paris. We learn that it's been a week. And basically she says she's gathered up enough courage to go shopping. And we see her enter the Dior store. Every time I rewatch this finale episode, I have to rewind and watch her eat shit at least 3 times because it is so funny. The way that she rockets across the floor and all of the contents of her purse come out like a fucking cannon in the circus. Like, it is a genius. It is genius. The blocking, the staging, the fact that Sarah Jessica holds nothing back.
Yeah, it's just perfect stuff. The everything. It's like she had things in her bag and also in the pockets of her coat and also tucked into her bra and also behind her ears. The way that it just explodes from her and
ricochets.
It's like every item she's ever known.
Next time you're experiencing depression, just watch this clip because it makes me laugh every time. Just the way that she slips, like, whoa, and then flies, like jumps. It's crazy.
She dives in like a swimming pool.
Yeah. A little trivia. Our podcast art, which is her in a future episode that I will not spoil for Emily. Oh, Emily. But it was going to be the screenshot of her with the jacket and her little legs flat ass on the floor in this scene originally. But it wasn't translating well in the pod art. So we had to go with another screenshot. But I fucking love this scene. And then the way that everybody in the shop looks at her with disgust.
Horrified.
Because it's France.
Yeah. And they're horrified. I mean, you know what? I'll give them a pass on this one time where I too would also be alarmed if what had happened had just happened. I would just be like, did this person explode in front of me into 100 lipstick cases? You know what I mean? So I'll give them a pass. But yeah, no one helps her. They're all just like,
nobody. They like barely help her up. It's hilarious. Hilarious. Then we see Carrie go back to the hotel. I also want to point out here, because her hair is straight, like she's getting her hair done in between episodes, because we have gone from blonde with a little bit of brown to fully brown with blonde highlights.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. I was like, she's getting her hair done somewhere. Something's happening.
Off screen. But she gets back to the hotel, makes a big deal about how she fell in Dior. Mm-hmm. And she had to purchase so many things that she could wipe their memory of her being the American who fell in Dior.
You know what she's like? She loves coining a catchphrase by saying it with funny emphasis and repeatedly, not unlike our incoming president.
I literally was about to say, it is the Trump playbook of I'm going to just make up a phrase and then I'm just going to repeat it in the ground until it's a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The other one for her is the squat and scoop in Dior. Loved to say squat and scoop.
Squat and scoop.
And unfortunately, we're saying it now. And that's the lasting impact of television.
Think about that.
Think about that. Poignant. And then we learn that she has lost her Carrie necklace. While she sifts through her purse next to an Evian bottle. Evian. Brought to you by Evian.
Man, I need to take a sip of my Evian water.
Of my water. That is definitely not Evian.
That was a really beautiful sip, and then I think and then you somehow didn't stick the landing. What happened there?
It's coming out my nose. It's coming out my nose.
What? That was so good, and then somehow the worst sip that I've ever seen. That was someone who has never sipped before in their life. Learning how to drink.
Yeah, I'm a baby. A lot is being revealed in this episode, and I am baby.
It's like a bird. What was that?
It went up my nose a little bit, and I got scared. I didn't want to look bad on this podcast, okay?
So instead you went bleh.
So instead I barfed it back into my cup, and I'm going to drink it slowly. And people are going to watch me and judge it. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm going to need that clipped just for my viewing. Thanks.
Okay. So Carrie's lost her Carrie necklace. It is the fucking worst thing that could happen to a human being. We will see other scenes with people dealing with bigger, worser things, and Carrie will literally cry about her Carrie necklace.
Such as not a thing
so
exists.
Sad.
What are you talking about?
So funny. So Carrie goes out in an ugly hat and an ugly scarf that don't match. And
she's like, this will fix it. This will fix my day.
I love this scene. I love the comedic timing of her seeing four women laughing in a cafe, having the best time. The fact that all four women see her staring at them.
Yes.
And then there's like an awkward beat. And then she kind of goes like, ugh, and walks away.
It's so good also because it's like funnier because it doesn't play goofy comedic music while it's happening.
Nope.
It's just played completely straight. Like,
yep.
She was just caught in 4K staring and doesn't know what to do.
Love it. And then we cut to Miranda at home with Brady. And Carrie, of course, calls her from a payphone. And she's like, I'm really upset. I lost my Carrie necklace. And Miranda's just like, come home. Like, just quit. And Carrie's like, no.
Look, on the one hand, Miranda's very funny because on the one hand, I agree with her, and then Carrie shouldn't have dropped everything to move to Paris on like basically a whim, and that was a dumb idea. On the other hand, Miranda is such a funny friend to have who's just like so not interested in, you know, being supportive and is just upright like, oh, I'm sad. Come home right now. Give up.
Come home
it's
right
waste.
now. We
it's
miss
a
you.
waste. It's ruined. Come home. Your life is shit.
Yes. I don't know. Is that really the support you want from a friend? Maybe.
It's so funny.
And Carrie's like, no, you know, I've only been here a week. But she does kind of let loose, being like, I've been to every museum twice. Like, I don't really know what to do with myself. And like, I wasn't planning on how much I'd miss you guys. And she like tears up. I actually like, it's such a heartfelt moment for me when I watch this. I think Sarah Jessica gives a really good performance. And Miranda's like, come home. And then Carrie says, I've had too much time to think. And Miranda's like, what the fuck does that mean? And then she says, you know, I keep thinking about what if I were in Paris with Mr. Big.
All right, and then I'm off. I'm off the train. Where the fuck
You're
did
like,
that
hang up
come
the phone,
from?
hang up your ugly hat.
We have not spoken about, heard about, thought about, seen anything related to Mr. Big since he popped out of the car and did his randomly inserted scene where he just randomly inserts himself. Like, what? The thing that triggered this call was her seeing girls hanging out at brunch, not seeing a man who looked like Mr. Big. You know what I mean? Like, if this was triggered by her seeing someone from, like, the back that kind of, like, had curly hair like her and then kind of looked like him, and she sort of, like, realizes she's thinking about, like, being in New York with Big, and then she calls Miranda and says this, maybe this would make more sense. But the thing that triggered it is her missing her friends. And then for some reason, the conversation is, I just can't stop thinking about Big. What? I mean, it's infuriating. It's like, this is the foreshadowing of the, and just like that gaslighting that happens where you see a thing and then the characters all act like a different thing happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is why you're my smartest friend and I'll never shut up about it, because I didn't even think about that. And you're absolutely right. Like, they needed to pick one. She either needed to see the four friends and get sad and call Miranda about that, or see either like, yeah, a curly haired woman with a man, or just a man who looks like Big from the back and like thinking that it's Big.
I haven't seen any indication that she's thinking about Big or why she would be.
Yeah. Or that Big for some reason is better than Petrovsky, because again, and I feel like this is the problem we run into with Petrovsky a lot, is like, he is somewhat justified. Like, he is launching his own exhibit at a museum that is going to take time.
It's frustrating that that it's positioned as if there's two options. It's either Petrovsky or Big, and like, just ending up with neither of them is not really an option. Like, it just has to be one or the other. And this like battle between them just existed 5 minutes ago, because Big has not been in the picture. So what are we doing?
Then we cut to Samantha at the breast cancer benefit. This iconic scene. An iconic scene that belongs in the National Archives. Samantha gives her lofty speech about the face of breast cancer is in your clerk, is in your mother, is in whatever. And you can tell that she's like losing people, but she's also sweating so hard. They have put a comical amount of water on her face. And she's wearing opera gloves, which is like, I feel it texturally how uncomfortable that is.
Right. I'm sweating now.
And the wig is slipping. She is like kind of takes a pause and is like, oh, fuck it, it's me, you know, and kind of breaks her little illusion. And then she takes her wig off to like fan her face. And she's like, you know, it's bad enough I had to lose my hair. Now I have my face running down my couture. And then it's such an inspirational moment that all the women in the audience are clapping and they take off their wig in solidarity. And I love the way that she like takes the wig and like turns it like a lasso and like throws it, you know, just incredible.
It's so funny and chaotic in the perfect it's such a Sex in the City moment. It's great.
And I love the way that Smith Jarrett is like,
Oh, he's so pumped. Yeah, he loves it.
Continues to be the only good character. Then we cut to Charlotte at Carrie's apartment to pick up Carrie's recommendation for her adoption applications and sees that Carrie has left her laptop on her bed, which I have to say, like, there is a part of me that's like, yeah, Carrie, maybe you're going stew crazy in Paris because you're literally writing nothing. Like, you could write a book that is an American Girl in Paris.
Yeah, people love that.
People would eat that shit up. That you ate that shit up. Literally, you clapped for the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, that is true. It is. I can't believe she's not writing. There was a moment in this episode where I had to remind myself that she doesn't have a job. Because there was something where she was monologuing or something where I was like, oh, this is going to be a really good column later. Oh, yeah, wait, she's not writing right now. Why isn't she writing? There's so much material here.
Yeah.
I would read this. I would read Carrie Bradshaw's, like, France is out to get me and everyone's punching me in the face and I'm falling in Dior. Like,
that show's called Emily in Paris.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you could have written it first.
There it is. There it is.
Also, that show is created by the creator of Sex and the City.
Right. There.
So it's all connected.
It's all connected.
So something that fascinates me about this episode is, I don't know if you noticed, but the voiceover goes down dramatically. Like, you don't hear the voiceover from scene to scene. Like, usually the voiceover transitions every scene, but we don't have it because I guess Carrie isn't learning about her friends. I guess. Like, the episode starts with narration. It doesn't end with narration. So, like, here was my annoyance. I think it would have been more powerful if there was no narration at all in these two episodes.
Yeah, because she's.
I think that
would
have. Yeah, because that would have driven home the point of her being away from her writing. Instead, they drop in like a couple of them.
Yeah.
And that's my nitpicky complaint.
That's a really fun, creative idea. Now I do wish they had done that. That's really cool. Very astute.
So Carrie's left the laptop on the bed, and as Charlotte's going over to the laptop, the phone rings, and it's Mr. Big, and he's leaving a voicemail. And in essence, he says, "I can't lose you again. I love you." And Charlotte answers, picks up the phone.
Okay, what? Again, I was already off the train, and I can't be more physically off the train than I am now in this moment. I'm so lost. What could possibly possess you to pick up the phone in a situation like that? And then also the lunch that's about to happen. I'm so lost. I'm so lost,
The lunch
Marina.
is what gets me. Let's get through the lunch.
Okay.
if we can, and then we'll talk about it at the end. Because this whole turn here is deranged. So
crazy.
The three girls at brunch, and Mr. Big shows up. Samantha's in the ugliest newsy cap that's backwards. And you burned P. Diddy 2 seconds ago. Hat watch. And she and Miranda are like clearly on edge with him being there. And Mr. Big's like, I know that I haven't been your favorite over the years. And Miranda's just like not saying anything. And Samantha's kind of like tossing insults at him. And he's like, I've fucked it up many times. He kind of owns up to his shortcomings. And then he says, but you three know her better than anyone. You're the loves of her life. And the guy is just lucky to come in fourth. So he's just buttering him up like a turkey. Mm-hmm. And he says, I do love her. And if you think I have a chance, I'll do anything. But if you think she's truly happy, then I will just fade away and I will be history. And the three girls kind of all look at each other. They give nonverbal signals to each other. And Miranda, who's been silent this whole time, pushes forward to him and says, go get our girl. Okay. Let me just take a step back and say, on paper, I think this is a very cool scene. Okay. I think it's very cool that Mr. Big, joins the brunch for the first time ever. These girls who have heard every story about him, that he kind of kowtows to the girl group to like fight for Carrie. I think the line "Go get our girl" is very cool. Like, I'm just talking like in paper and isolation in a vacuum. Okay. I like this scene. Like, the idea of this scene.
Okay.
I don't know how I would feel if I learned that my friends did this. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Especially when I really advocated for myself and what I wanted was to be with Petrovsky in Paris, for my friends to step in like my fucking mom and dad behind my back and tell this guy,
the guy I was
to
just complaining about and saying, go
just
fuck
said,
him.
fuck off to. And it's like, you know, Charlotte, I understand why Charlotte picks up the phone, because in that final scene with Carrie, when they have their last dinner or whatever, she's like, oh, Big said that he loved you. You know, she's kind of the hopeless romantic. And I will say the one consistent thing about the girls is that Charlotte clearly believes that Big is Carrie's, like, has hope for Big. And that, so like, that's the only thing that is consistent here for me. But I think this scene is a little fucked up.
This really felt to me so shoehorned in of like, we need to get him to go to Paris. We know that our step B is he's going to Paris to like get her back. I don't really know how to get there, so let's just do this really quick scene where like she happens to hear the phone and then he goes to get brunch with them or whatever. And even in the scene, the girls kind of barely talk. Samantha like starts to have a line and then he interrupts her and is like, wait, let me finish. So the girls kind of don't speak at all. So it really feels like a very haphazard, I just need to write a really quick speech from Big that's going to win them over. And I know the end of the speech is go get our girl, but it's like so unearned and unsatisfying to me because it feels very shoehorned in. I really just didn't like it. And then just from the perspective of the friends, like you said, I just think this is like not being a good friend. Like this is really invasive. You can get Carrie back without Petrovsky. If you're not happy with Petrovsky and you're not happy with her in Paris, there's not only one other alternative, which is her being with Big. Like, the season should have ended with the friends going to get her back, maybe, but she doesn't have to be with. The only way to save her is not to give her another man. You know what I mean? But the show doesn't present that as an option. So it's like one or the other. And it feels like the girls are like picking between the men. So they pick Big because he made this dumbass speech and it's Big. Yeah.
I really agree with everything that you've said. It does irk me. I think that I couldn't verbalize what it is that bothers me about this scene. And it is the fact that like, they don't get to state their opinion out loud. We don't get to clearly hear them be like, you are a piece of shit. Like, we got that scene with Carrie where she chews him out, and I kind of needed them to chew him out more. But I agree with you. I really think that would have been the smarter ending, which is if the three girls go after and like save her, as opposed to having this man come and save her.
Yeah. It's like, it's just antithetical to like everything we've seen about the girls and the sort of theme of the show. You know, it just feels very sort of off. This scene hangs in my mind over the next 2 episodes, and I'm just very curious how, if I were watching this live, would I have been upset? You know what I mean? Or what, you know, like, I don't know.
Ultimately, I think that the creators of the show and Sarah Jessica got so far away from the original idea behind this character and these women and this show that's why they had such a hard time ending it, and then just said, well, let's just do a happy ending with Big. Because I don't think I've ever seen in any of the articles people talking about this idea of maybe the women go after her, you know? And I think part of the problem with that is that they want all these women to be like tied up, like everybody, as we'll see in the next episode, like gets their little ending. And I think there is a way to have kept those things while also tying them all together to Carrie, you know?
Right.
As opposed to having everybody in their end of show silo, which is what they do instead. Yeah.
And it's nice that they're getting their ending, but also sort of sad that everyone's ending is like apart from each other.
Yeah. Agreed. So then we cut to Carrie and she's out with Petrovsky. And he gives her this diamond necklace to replace her Carrie necklace. Misguided. He didn't understand.
Yeah.
But
he goofed it.
And he gives her the speech where he's like, you know, I know that I have been busy, but like as soon as all this museum stuff ends, like it's going to be different and I'll be with you and it's going to be great. And Carrie's like, okay. And then his friend and his wife shows up and they're all just immediately talking in French, talking over Carrie, chitty chatty. And the camera sort of zooms in on Carrie She kind of has this like mile-long stare to the abyss where she's thinking, you know, this is going to be the life with him forever. Dun dun.
Yep, dun dun.
And the episode ends on the cliffhanger. But one of the finale part. Ooh.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a person so what have I done on their face?
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
Oh no, the consequences of my own actions.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's almost like maybe dropping everything to like move with your boyfriend to a country that like does not speak English, that you know no one in, that you've never been to. It's maybe not like the secret to happiness.
Maybe not the secret. And that's the conclusion of the episode.
Yeah.
So we end our podcast as we end all our podcasts with our high and our low, our rose and our thorn. Emily, what was your negative? What was your diarrhea of this episode?
It's go get our girl.
Yeah.
Steam coming out of my ears.
Steam coming out of my ears. For me, it's just going to be French people in general, particularly that cunty daughter.
Yeah, fuck her.
Fuck her. For me, if I'm landing in Paris to be with this guy and I meet that daughter, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah,
Book me the flight.
I return flight. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's over.
Get me on United. Beep, bop, boop, bop, bop. 1-800-UNITED. What was your high of the episode? What was your release the Kraken?
I mean, I know it's a meme, but her bopping around, like being excited at the Eiffel Tower. I mean, it's like, it's so great and quintessential. And then also I'm just like, why didn't she go to Paris before this? It's just so meant to be for her. You know what I mean? It just feels like sort of perfect for Carrie.
Yeah. For me, it's the fall in Dior.
Of course.
I am that kind of sick person that watches Vine compilations of people falling when I'm sad. That's just me. That's a dark secret you all can know now. And
do they have a compilation for just Carrie's falls? Because this seems to happen a lot.
My God, nobody make that, because then I'm not leaving the house. I'm just watching that to keep my serotonin levels on a high forever.
Addicted to it.
Addicted. Well, we hope that you're addicted to this podcast and that you're showing your addiction to this podcast with your liking, your favoriting, your following, your 5 stars, your ample amount of comments that are all positive, no negatives. You're voting in the polls that I'm not making, despite the fact that Spotify's fucking choking me with the force trying to get me to do these polls. Does anybody do the polls? Write me back. But we appreciate your listen. You know I was aggressive in this episode, and I can't take it back. But I can say, go get our girl. And the girl is getting the numbers up on this podcast. Just kidding. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you for part 2 soon. And until next Wednesday, bye.